Welcome to Secular Soup. Stay tuned for real talk about atheism, feminism, politics, parenting, and whatever the fuck else Amy and Amy want to talk about, because this is their show. And get ready for a whole lot of motherfucking profanity.
You want to hear a secret?
I won't tell anybody. Go ahead. If I sit next to you, I'm going to get gonorrhea. It's going to jump into me. Just two ladies hanging out.
Is it okay for me to make fun of his neck waddle if I make fun of my own neck waddle?
I'm not sure.
That's a real ethical conundrum.
Would you know if you were born a lizard person, or can you be like adopted into the...
I think you know.
We're such professionals.
We really are.
Buckle up, bitches. It's time to have some soup.
I'm Amy with a Y, and with me today is Michael with an L, I assume. Is that an L at the end of your name?
At the end of my name, yes, I guess.
It's not LaMichael.
I'm pretty sure that Michael always has an L at the end, though.
You never know. People are weird and give their kids weird names.
Isn't that true? Or
Yes.
or weird spellings of normal names.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Like Amy with an I. Ridiculous.
Because why not fuck up a kid like that?
Exactly. So I wanted to kind of explain to people why I'm back suddenly. And I also wanted to assure people that Amy and I did not break up. This isn't a big feud we're having. We've just been having a really hard time. Yeah, we've been having a really hard time finding time to record together because I have been going through the Morbs, as we call it now. Just a bout of my clinical depression has been kicking in, so I have been basically useless for several weeks, and Amy has this new job, and she can't record till the evenings, and I'm useless in the evening. It's a whole thing. So yes, Amy and I will be back together recording, I assure you. It's just, for the time being, it's not working out, so then I'm stuck with people like Michael, who's whatever, yes, I guess a backup.
Exactly. You know what? If a backup is what I am, I'm good with that, actually.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're like the last choice. Like
I've never really aspired to more.
When we've erased all the other options and realized that we just can't do anything else, then we call Michael. And we're like, well, we got to record something. So
everything on the whiteboard's been scratched off.
Yep.
Okay.
Wait, is Michael still around? I guess we could talk to him.
Little bit. Still around a little bit.
Barely.
We're trying to figure that out.
Yeah, so Michael and I were talking a little bit before this. We both have kind of dealt with depression in the past, and I've talked about it on the show before. It's something that I've dealt with basically since I had my first kid. It was my first pregnancy, which would have been, 16 years ago now? God, I'm old.
How am I supposed to know? It's your kid.
Exactly. I'm the one that gave birth to him, so... Yeah, my first kid, I fully blame him for my depression. I did not have depression before I got pregnant, which I guess is on me. He didn't make me get pregnant. I chose to do that. But yeah, so when I was pregnant, I went on antidepressants, and then I pretty much stayed on them for the last 16 years. And I've, been mostly okay. Every couple of years, I kind of go through a phase where the meds quit working, and I have to go on a new med. And anybody who has had depression or mental illness issues knows that most depression meds don't work until 4 to 6 weeks in. So you're kind of in this place where you have to just sit around and wait for something to work. And that's where I've been for the past 2 months. I tried one med for 6 weeks and it did nothing. So now I'm on med number 2, waiting for those 4 weeks to kick in, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, in the meantime, I'm useless. I've been doing nothing. Fun fact, I'm recording from my bed right now. I just brought the laptop up, brought my mic up.
Classy.
I can just sit here in bed and do it. It's
always
fine.
Classy. Well, I'm recording from my closet, so.
Perfect.
Yeah,
that's a great depression spot.
Oh, it's perfect. It's a good sized closet.
Were you crying in there earlier? Were you like on the floor sobbing or?
No. I set up a second desk. I work from home, so I have a desk and. Back pre-divorce, I had like a house with an office. So these days, my office is also in my bedroom. due to a lack of extra rooms. And my place is on a pretty busy street. So does not make for a good recording environment. So I set up a little table in the closet so that when I do actually record things every once in a while these days, I can actually do it somewhere quiet enough to not have traffic rushing by. So I am literally in the closet.
Well, I am not divorced, so I do have an office that I have my little recording studio
You can hope.
in. There's always time. I mean, shit, it's been like 18 years and it feels like 90, so.
You're right at, you're right at where I was at 18 years when I got separated and was really, really, really hoping to not make it to that 19th anniversary. And unfortunately, things didn't move along quite fast enough to make that deadline. So I did hit a 19-year wedding anniversary, although it was not exactly a celebratory event.
Yeah, I think that's exactly where Amy with an I was too, right at 18 years.
Yeah.
God, that's a long time, isn't it? That's long enough to turn into an adult.
The anniversary thing had really not been so much of a celebratory event for many, many years anyways. So it wasn't, it wasn't a huge deal, but then got that finalized shortly thereafter.
It's been the year of divorces, I feel like.
Oh,
everybody I know,
really,
it's the thing to do. Everybody's getting divorced.
I know, it really has been. And
except me, because I don't want to move. I'm too lazy. I have this house already. Like,
Well, I moved out of my ex-wife's house. That was I hated that place, and it was not in a place I wanted to be at all. So that was a good thing. But I just had the. I just had the complete midlife crisis year.
Did you get the car and everything?
Oh,
midlife crisis car?
Yeah, actually I did. I bought a...
oh, that's right. I remember seeing
leased,
the picture.
actually. A red Alfa Romeo. I'm like, okay,
oh my God.
I'm getting the Italian car, which,
sweet.
Truth to be told, I actually got it because it was a ridiculously good deal, and I kind of need a nice car for work. So
whatever you got to tell yourself.
It's far more practical than it appears. Although I have had that car now for, almost 2 months. It has been in my possession for 2 weeks of that and has been back at the dealer for repairs the other 6 weeks. So
solid.
Good thing for warranties and for a dealer that has provided me with excellent loaner cars.
Well, I have a 2006 Ford Escape that I paid cash for because I'm poor and I didn't want a car payment, and everything's just falling apart on it now. And so I have to decide, I don't want to pay to fix anything because I'm poor. I just don't. So how far can I drive this thing before it completely falls apart? So far, it's been okay. I don't feel like it's dangerous. It's just annoying that things don't work on it. So,
I mean, modern cars, if you keep the oil changed and, brakes or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing that. The tires are okay. It's,
Yeah, just not Italian cars. This thing, I'm hoping I actually get to drive my car someday.
Yeah, I like a good American car because it's all about the USA, so.
USA.
Yeah, fortunately, I have a husband who, for the most part, kind of doesn't understand, but puts up with my depression, like tries to get it, and will just let me be alone in a dark room for weeks on end. And,
that's really important to have that because,
it is.
I mean, I've gone through... Yeah, I've gone through bouts of depression and that sort of thing too. And it's really, it can be, for me, I find now it's very hard to separate out what was depression when and what was more
just having a shitty time.
Yeah, like life circumstances. And there were times when, I didn't, my ex-wife was never like a bitch about it or anything like that, but she would just say, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get why you don't just get up.
Yeah.
And So that it is really good to have somebody that's like, I get it. Like, okay, you're going to be in bed today. And
I think part of that is when I was first pregnant, and so I was pregnant anyway, and it was a whole big deal. And he saw me not being able to get out of bed for a couple of weeks, which was just a radical change from what I normally was like. So, I mean, I think he could tell that it wasn't just that I was suddenly lazy, like something had gone wrong and I was not myself. And
your brain got broke.
Yeah. And he saw that once I went on medication, I was kind of fixed. Like, it wasn't perfect, but I was kind of back to what I was normally like. And so he's seen that over the years where, okay, now my medication doesn't work. I'm going to start a new one and then it will start to work after a few weeks. So, I mean, he gets at least that it's something going on in my brain and it's not just, why can't you just be, have you tried not being depressed? Like, just get up and do something.
Yeah. Can you just not? Like, just not smile.
Yeah.
Come on, put on a fucking smile.
You look so much better when you smile. Why can't you just be positive? Positive thinking.
It is. It's all about positive thinking.
All about positive thinking. If you have a shitty attitude, then everything's going to be shitty. If you just have a positive attitude, things are fine. Then you can get up and, I was telling him, because, he's just never been through it. And I'm like, what sucks is you just suddenly you physically cannot enjoy anything that you used to enjoy. Like, there's things I like to do. I have hobbies, but when you're really in that, just in the midst of it, you can't. You know
where I would find that? I would find that with having the attention span to watch a movie, or even at some points to like watch a full episode of something without sort of, flitting
having
off
obsessive thoughts or
in your mind to wherever, and then you get to the end of the show and you're like, I didn't even watch this.
Yeah. Well, and what I would do is what I still do when I'm going through an episode. I'll be, all I can do is sit and watch TV. Like, the thought of doing anything, the thought of unloading the dishwasher seems so overwhelming to me that I think to myself, how did I do this before I was depressed?
What is I find sometimes good for that is just like some really trashy TV. Like nothing I have to think about. Like, so this morning I got up and I'm not a morning person. I don't do well in the morning generally. And I've been waking up earlier than I want to. And that really sucks when you're not a morning person and you're just increasing your amount of morning. So this morning, normally I turn on MSNBC, listen to the shit show that's going on. But that doesn't tend to help snap you out of anything.
No.
So I flipped over to, I believe it's on E, and watched some Botched, where they take terrible plastic surgery and try to fix it. An episode or so of Botched, it does provide a pick-me-up. It's like, you know what? At least I don't have a giant exploded, exploded ass implant or something like that, which there was an ass implant story today.
Oh my God. Just don't get that. I mean, do what you want to do with your own body, but it
is not a good idea. No
one needs that.
I was watching it a couple weeks ago. I was out in LA and happened to be watching Botched, and there was a woman on there who wanted to have like the biggest ass in the world. Like, that was her goal. So what she would do is, like, she would put on weight and then have her fat like liposuctioned out of
everything but her
gut
ass
and her legs and whatever, and then put into her ass.
No.
And I think she had done this like a few times. It was insane.
I feel like that's not healthy.
Oh, I can't imagine. No. So, I mean, that's...
And just trying to find pants for that would be...
Oh, they would have to be They would have to be custom made.
I mean, you'd have to be custom, or you'd have to switch completely to skirts and dresses. But if you want your ass to be that big, you're probably wearing pants because you want to show it off. That would be my guess.
She definitely wanted to show it off.
Yeah, they're going to have the leather pants. The form fitting. Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one. But I have found a place where trashy TV like that, it can work. It definitely has an antidepressant effect.
Well, yeah, because you can't.
Hoarders.
It's like your brain just can't think. Oh, see, Hoarders depresses me more.
No. See, I think any of those hoarding shows.
Because I feel bad for those people, and then I just go into a feeling bad spiral.
No, they're great because they're like, oh, well, I'm not nearly as bad off as that poor schmuck.
Yeah, but then all I can think is, oh, there are people that live like that. The world is terrible. How can I live in the world that's so terrible? And how, like, it just sends me into this horrible, like,
I once
thinking about the pain of the entire human race, and it's very weird.
I once actually bought a house. I was flipping houses in Denver, and so I bought a house from a foreclosure auction, and I get in there, and I'd never seen the inside of it, and it was kind of a hoarding situation, and it was really bad. It took 4 giant dumpsters to empty out this 3-bedroom little house. It was rough. We do.
I mean, my husband and I do auctions for a living, and we just this week finished doing an auction for a lady who clearly was a hoarder. She didn't die. She's in a nursing home now, but she clearly had a home shopping network problem.
Oh.
And my God, the stuff she had that was just brand new in the box, she clearly was just ordering stuff and then never opening it or using it. It just storing it somewhere, which is good for us because we're making money on what we sell, and it's all nice stuff that's still in the box. But it's just, I feel bad for her because it's like, oh.
Like what kind of items? Like what did she have?
Everything. Makeup, like we found, and I'm kind of a makeup connoisseur, so she had bought the really fucking expensive makeup, like an entire bag starter kit, and not opened any of it. It was all, sealed and closed, like the stuff you pay $40 for a tiny little eyeshadow. She had 50 of them in there. Brand new toys, she had a brand new pressure washer that she had never used. She had home decor stuff. She had every kitchen appliance you can possibly imagine, like 3 KitchenAid mixers, 7 full sets of dishes, 3 strawberry cores, like the things that you pluck the 3 of them.
I could have used some of that stuff. I actually have a 0 small kitchen appliances at all.
See, it's online right now because we do online auctions, so you can buy it, but then you have to come to Minnesota to pick it up.
Yeah, so. See, that's the problem.
If you want to do that, it's,
I don't think that's going to end up being a win for me.
They're probably going to go for a good price, but yeah, look into online auctions. You can get some cheap shit. So
yeah, that's a good idea.
And this is all brand new stuff, like in the box, wrapped up. She just ordered it and never used it.
I ended up 3 months ago as I went through the rest of my midlife crisis year. After having moved twice in a year, moving into my 3rd place within a year, fleeing relationships.
Yeah,
and when you do that, you move out of what is now someone else's house, and you do it kind of quickly, you tend to not take a lot.
Yeah, you don't think about the KitchenAid mixer while you're doing that. It's kind of an afterthought. So
no. Well, and the thing was, so I moved out of my ex-wife's house and I moved in with a girlfriend. I wasn't thinking like, oh, I need some forks, because it was like, well, I'm moving in with someone, like they've got forks.
Yeah.
And so then when that doesn't work out, and then finally it's time to just.
And you're like, shit, I don't have any forks. What am I gonna eat?
Yeah. Then I moved into the place I'm recording from now, and I had to go to IKEA and get some shit because I didn't have anything.
I'm telling you, thrift shops, man. My mom runs a thrift shop, and she always keeps like full sets of silverware just for people that are buying their first house or shit like that. Like just a full set in a container that you can put right into your drawer that's got all the silverware in it. And because, nobody wants to.
Well, I'm still finding like, oh, wow, I don't have a vegetable peeler or, things like that. I'm like, oh,
because you don't realize you need them until you go to peel that potato, and then you're like, oh,
and then you're like, oh, great, okay.
Yeah, now I'm either going to have to go buy one or, yeah. No, I totally get it. I have the opposite problem right now because there is so much shit in my house that I want to burn it all down because my depression.
How long have you been in your
we've lived here
house?
10 years now.
Yeah, so you accumulate a lot of shit.
We do. And the fact that we do auctions, my husband's a bit of a hoarder. He's not full-on hoarder. He's a bit of a pack rat. And so he'll find stuff from the auctions that we're working on and he'll have to bring it home to show everyone because it's just so cool. And then it sits on my kitchen table for a year and a half. And my kitchen table is just covered in stupid shit that we don't need.
Isn't that somebody's shit that is being auctioned?
It is, but if we find something cool, we'll just pay them cash for it ahead of time. So like the agreement is we're going to go in.
So he's buying the thing.
He's buying it from the person. Yeah. Like he'll find some weird little gizmo or something and he'll tell the person, can I give you $2 for this? And they'll be like, okay. And he'll pay him cash and bring it home.
Okay. Because the way
we're not stealing
the way that I heard it was like, oh, you're supposed to be auctioning all this shit on consignment and he's just bringing it home.
No, he's finding some weird ass thing that, like an old kaleidoscope or just a weird lock or something. I don't even.
Oh,
and he'll go to it's interesting.
Stuff.
It's interesting to like look at that stuff and go, oh, what is, like we came across this money that was stamped something about occupied Japan and we looked it up and it was like Hawaiian money from World War II. You find weird shit, but we don't need all that shit at our house. We just don't.
I kind of like this sort of starting from ground zero on many possessions, really. And actually, the other piece of it is I basically I literally donated my entire wardrobe because I dropped about 50 pounds. So every piece of clothing that I owned was way too big.
Yeah. So
I went to basically starting from scratch on clothing too. That's a tough one.
I bet.
I do keep finding myself being like, oh, I kind of need a this or a that.
Yeah, I don't have that problem. I have way too many clothes. But I do occasionally go through them and go to a consignment shop in town and just bring them there and use whatever money I make on that to buy more clothes at the consignment shop. It's great. Anyway, so the whole reason I had you on here was actually to talk about jury duty.
Oh, that's right.
Now that we've been talking about depression and bullshit for,
forgot why we were here. Yes.
Which is weird because the whole point of Secular Soup is to pick a topic and then stay on that topic for the entire hour. It's kind of our shtick. So
you're definitely pros at that.
Really ruining this podcast, Michael.
So I watched the Pauly Shore movie Jury Duty, and so now we're gonna discuss that, right?
Yeah, well, in depth. We're gonna do a riff track style, just talking behind the movie for 2 hours. And
yeah, exactly. Oh, I wrote a script. I thought we were doing it. Got off.
Oh, did you write
style.
One? Oh, perfect. Yeah. Well, then I'll just let you read it, and I'll sit back and continue being morbid.
Who gets to be Eli?
Yeah, that's a tough one because you're a dude, but I'm funnier, so I don't know.
You got me there. Mm-hmm. That's quite the conundrum.
Burn. It's called a sick burn. Anyway, so yeah, we found out just by happenstance in a Facebook group that we have both done jury duty in the past. And was yours a murder trial? Is that what you said?
It was a double murder trial.
Oh my, that is so fucking amazing.
It was not just one murder. It was two murders simultaneously. I mean, probably within a few seconds of each other. I don't think the one bullet killed them both.
See, it's weird to say I'm jealous, but I'm a total nerd and I've always wanted to do jury duty and I always dreamed that I would get a murder trial. I did not.
Yeah. You know what? You don't want one.
Really? Did it last for a long time?
I mean, it didn't last forever. It was, I want to say that, so it felt like it lasted longer than it did because it happened to be it happened to cross through 4th of July. So there was kind of like a break in the middle. There was a weekend and 4th of July and all that. So it felt like it took 2 weeks, but I think that we were actually only in for 6 days, I think, something like that. So,
well, here's what we're going to do, because your story is probably way better than mine because it involves murder. So I'm going to tell mine first.
I'm actually going to go ahead and say, yeah, it's definitely better.
See, it's got to be. So I'm going to tell mine first because otherwise it'll be a letdown.
Okay, but I'm going to tease a little something here.
Okay, go ahead.
Mine's got a surprise twist ending also.
Oh, so does mine, kind of.
So stay tuned.
Okay, surprise twist ending. So
tell your boring jury duty story.
It's just more boring than yours. It's not totally boring. So yeah, I've always wanted to do jury duty. I'm a total nerd. I've watched so many hours of Law and Order getting ready for this. I'm like pumped. I want to get jury duty. And I finally got called. I think it was earlier, maybe it was February, March of last year. So I'm super psyched. Like, yes, I finally get to do this. And I go in. It's really boring at first because you have to go in and they show you a video, and then you may not get even picked for a jury. Like, they bring you in. It's actually the number of people there for jury duty. It's more likely than not that you're not going to get picked for the jury.
Oh yeah, I've had several other times when I've been called, and a couple of those where I've actually had to go in and sit there for the
and you sit there for the whole day,
and then they're like, okay, we don't need you anymore. Like they bring in a ton of people.
Yeah, so I lucked out and got into that boring waiting room, and within an hour I was upstairs in the criminal court. And then right after that, I was one of the first people that got called over for voir dire, which is where they decide who they're going to kick off the jury and who they're going to leave on the jury. And at first jury, I got picked, which astonished me because I thought for sure, I just didn't think I'd get picked for one. But they did the voir dire where they're asking all their weird ass questions, and it's a small town. So one of the questions they asked was, have you been involved in the court system with, the prosecutor specifically was saying, basically, do you know me? Have you seen me before? Do you know anything about me? And I had actually gone through a family court case back in 2003 where I had custody of my cousin's 2 kids. She's a meth addict. Long story. But so I had gone through family court because of this custody situation, and she had been the person handling that case. So I told her, yes, I've met you before. You were handling this case for my family. And she's like, okay, but you don't have any like ill feelings about me. And I'm like, no, it was fine. But I just thought that would disqualify me. Like the fact that I admitted I know her, I've been involved in a case with her before. I thought they'll kick me off right away.
There's one of those in my case too. I thought that I would get kicked off right away.
Well, yeah. And one of the things, you may not know this about me, but I'm very talkative. So when they're asking questions, I'm, of course, raising my hand because they're asking questions and everybody's being quiet. And one of the things the defense asked was, how do you feel about false convictions? Or, have you seen any shows about false convictions? And I raised my hand, and at that point, I thought it was weird because nobody was admitting that they had ever watched Law and Order. Like, this guy was specifically asking, have you ever seen a television show about a wrongful conviction? Who fucking hasn't? Like, 3 of us raised our hands, and I thought, the rest of you are dirty, dirty liars.
Or they are just not paying attention.
Yeah,
they're
attention.
Not even thinking about what is being asked because they're just putting in their day.
They're just laying low. They know if they don't raise their hand, it's like school. Maybe they won't get noticed and they won't get picked. So they're just going to lay low. And I'm like, I'm not going to lie. Of course I've seen shows about wrongful convictions.
It's kind of a traditional plot device.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So I said that I had, and he asked me specifically, how do you feel? What are your thoughts on wrongful convictions? And
they're wrongful.
Yeah, I said something about how, I said it actually kind of terrifies me that I could be involved in putting someone in jail who didn't commit a crime. That's a fear of mine. I want to make sure that, innocent people aren't going to jail. And
so did you know yet at this point what the case was?
Nope. We didn't know what it was at all. We didn't know who the defendant was. This was all we knew was it was criminal court, but they didn't give us any. We could tell by the questions because they were asking about drug use. So it became obvious there's drugs involved somehow. And then they asked about domestic violence. So we thought, okay, well, it's probably a domestic violence case because they wanted to know who had, if anybody had been a victim of domestic violence. One lady confessed that she had been a victim and they dismissed her right away. So yeah,
they said, "Oh, nice for you. Please go away."
Yeah, sorry, but if you've been beaten up by your husband, you're probably not going to be impartial on this one. So yeah. So anyway, I got picked. It was awesome. So then that took the whole day, I think. So the next day, the trial starts. We finally see the defendant, and I walk in, and of course, my first and I'm thinking I'm going to be totally impartial. I'm going to be so good at this. I'm following the law. No, and I looked at that guy and just thought, oh, he fucking did it, clearly. I mean, come on. This guy's totally a meth addict. He just looks like white trash. He definitely beat someone up.
On sight.
In my mind, I'm like, this guy definitely beat somebody up. Like, you could, yeah. But then I thought...
Did he have neck tattoos?
Probably. I don't even remember, but picture a meth addict who beats people up, and it was this guy. And so I thought, no, don't prejudge. Like, this is why we're here. We can't, this is the thing. This is the whole thing. You can't
keep an open mind. You're the most important part of it. You're the jury. You've got to be upstanding and moral.
Right. So we kind of get into the case a little bit, and both the defense lawyer and the prosecutor were on their games. Like, they were doing a great job. Both of them made excellent points.
Was it a public defender or like a regular?
No, it was a regular lawyer. And
okay.
To me, part of me thought that kind of impressed me, because then I thought, this is a guy who feels so strongly about his innocence that he didn't take a plea deal. He decided to go for a jury trial. He could have clearly taken a plea deal on this, but most he believes in himself.
Cases do.
Yeah, and the lawyer was arguing very passionately that this was a self-defense case. So basically, what it was is he was being charged with beating up his girlfriend, but he was claiming that it was self-defense, that she attacked him, and that he was defending himself. So that's kind of the gist of the case. Well, of course, they bring in all the police officers who had responded to this thing that night, and they bring in the victim. And my first thought when I looked at the victim, and
she's a meth head too.
I feel like I should preface this by saying domestic violence is not funny. It's very serious, and I believe victims and all that stuff. Let's just say that ahead of time.
Excellent disclaimer there.
So she comes up on the witness stand. First of all, she's at least twice the size of this guy. Twice the size of him. She could easily take him down in a fight.
So now you're saying, okay, well, self-defense is a possibility.
Exactly. I'm like, okay.
He may have needed to defend himself.
I'm like, this could be legit. She is bigger than him by a lot. She could have kicked this guy down, and I could buy that. So we hear her, predictable testimony. She said that they got in a fight and that he was mad about something, and so he just kicked her in the stomach, and she had this just horrible story. And one of their previous neighbors came up to testify because she had called 911 on a previous incident. So these two had previous incidents at least 3 other times. And they had both been charged multiple times. So it sounds like usually what happened was the police would show up and charge both of them with domestic violence. Right. Which, again, I could see that. Like, I could see where they're both meth addicts and they're just fighting. And
yeah, I would imagine that might not be a
not
pleasant,
unreasonable,
peaceful
right?
household.
No. So the neighbor got on the stand and they played her previous 911 call, which was from a previous incident. And it was fucking hilarious because this poor girl, she didn't think she'd ever be on the stand testifying. She just called 911 one night because she saw her neighbors fighting. But her 911 call was golden because it was basically, they're fucking out in the street again, fucking hitting each other. And she just got in his car. Oh, now she's trying to run him over. Okay. No, now she got out of the car. Now they're screaming at each other. Now she's hitting him. Now he hit her. But God damn it. I fucking hate this neighborhood. Like,
did that person have to testify, or they just played the tape? Oh.
She had to sit there while they were playing the tape, and she looked mortified. And then she had to testify and talk about the previous incident and what they were like as neighbors. And, you know, her testimony was basically, yeah, they were constantly beating the shit out of each other. It wasn't just him. It was her. They were always fighting. It was annoying.
So did the defendant testify?
He did. And that was another thing that I thought he must have really pushed his attorney to let him testify.
Yeah,
because normally, which was, to me, was another point in his favor. Like, he really was adamant that he was defending himself and he was going to get his ass on the stand. And
so how did he come across?
He actually came across okay. Like, he seemed very genuine. And so basically the situation that had happened was...
Wait, so what was he actually charged with? What was...
He was charged... Oh, God, what was the actual charge? It was... I don't know what the actual charge was called, but he was charged with hitting her, with like
assault or something like that.
Assault, yes. He was charged
or battery.
With assault.
I don't know the difference
between
either assault
or
and battery. I don't know what the difference is.
They were saying he punched her or he kicked her. He caused her bodily damage.
Okay.
So basically everyone agrees that he was out somewhere and it was 4 a.m. and he had come home with some raw meat, some raw hamburger, because he was going to make some hamburger helper.
Yeah,
and so
that's good stuff.
By the time he got to the apartment, she was already high. He was probably high too, but it sounds like she was even more high than he was. She got mad about something, but we're not sure what. He claims that she threw a toaster at him, and he was trying to make he says that he had gotten the hamburger on the stove and he had started the stove so he could cook the hamburger, but then she threw the toaster at him, and so then he had to flee the apartment, and he called 911. So he's the person that called 911. We listened to his 911 tape. She didn't call 911. He did. He did flee the apartment. Everybody testified to that. Part of the testimony was asking the police officers if they saw the toaster in question when they came in. And if that toaster was plugged in, because if the toaster was plugged in, she couldn't have thrown it at him, right?
Well, unless she went and picked it up and plugged it back in, but that's
unlikely. You're high on meth. Why are you going to go pick it up and plug it back in? You're not going to have that kind of foresight, right? So the officers are claiming that they think they saw it plugged in. They're not entirely sure, but they're pretty sure. And that it was within a few feet of the wall, and that it was on a shelf, and it seemed really close to the wall, but it definitely wasn't on the floor.
Okay.
They also testified that the gas stove was on, like the stove had been turned on, but the meat, and they had to turn it off when they got there, and there was raw meat in there. So he did start cooking the hamburger, like he said. The prosecutor made a big deal out of the fact that the victim claimed that he had told her that she didn't deserve to eat, that he was going to make himself the hamburger helper, and he wasn't going to give her any because she didn't deserve to eat.
Hamburger helpers for closers.
Yes. And the prosecutor at least twice repeated that in that tone where she went, wasn't good enough to eat.
Oh,
he didn't think she'd... And I had to stop myself from laughing because I'm like, lady... You're being way too Law and Order here. We get it. Yes, you're trying to really drive home the point that he was just demeaning her, telling her she was ugly and fat, and he's a terrible... And, oh my God. So in the meantime, he's claiming that as soon as she came at him with this toaster, he ran out the door and called 911. Well, then she's claiming, no, he didn't do that. Oh, and he also claimed that she tried to block the door, that he was trying to get out and she was blocking the door so he couldn't get out. And then he finally pushed her and that's how he got out.
Okay.
And so that even though he pushed her, it was self-defense because he needed to get out of the apartment. And again, all of this is sounding reasonable at this point. I could see that happening. So when the police officers get there, nobody takes any pictures of any injuries anybody had, which is awesome. So they're both claiming that they were injured. Both the victim and the guy being charged claimed that they had been injured. Nobody took any pictures. The police testified that, yes, it did look like he maybe had a red mark on his neck because he pointed out right away to them that she had hit him and it was on his neck. And they're like, yeah, it looked red, but I don't know. And that she also had a red mark on her, but they couldn't really tell and nobody took a picture. And she was crying and seemed really distressed. And Apparently, she took her own picture of the injury and sent it to her brother on Facebook, but we never saw that picture, and they never saw that picture, and we don't know if that picture exists, so we never got to see any pictures of any injuries. And you're just thinking, like, okay, if people are injured in a domestic violence situation, why aren't the police taking any pictures? Just at least of an injury, just a simple snapshot with your iPhone of like, look, my neck is bruised. Could we maybe take a pic of that? No. They just basically took him to jail, left her there, and that was the end of it. And so, yeah, he got on the stand and he was like, no, I needed to get out of that situation. That's why I called 911, because I was scared and she had blocked me in there before and she's hit me before. And yeah, I pushed her, and the prosecutor was asking him very specific questions like, did you kick her on the stomach? Did you hit her on the arm? And he did at one point admit, yes, I think I did kick her when she was on the floor. He admitted it. Yes.
Okay, that's not a good one.
Right. So the whole rest of his testimony is okay, but he did at one point say, yeah, I think I did, but it's because I was trying to get out of the apartment. So
did you,
what happened?
So did you convict him?
We go back to jury deliberations, and first of all, none of the men on that jury took any notes. They just didn't. It was half women, half men. The women, we all took fastidious notes. We had been taking notes the whole time. They tell you ahead of time you can't get a transcript. You have to rely on your notes. So, we were going back and forth trying to decide, does he have an actual case for self-defense? I mean, he could.
Yeah.
And we were trying to figure out, based on what he was saying, how that apartment was set up. Like, was the door right by the stove? Could he have gotten out the door without confronting her? How fast could she have gotten to the stove? Like, we're trying to figure out all these logistics. And we don't fucking know. We don't have a map of the apartment and what it looked like and where the stove was in relation to the door and where the toaster could, I don't know. So we went back and forth arguing for not the whole afternoon, probably an hour or 2 hours tops. But yeah, we convicted him because by the end of it,
that was all that you were in the jury room, was a couple hours?
It was like a couple hours. We ended up eating lunch, and the testimony only took one day. It was a one full day of testimony, and then we came back the next day. They had closing arguments, and then we deliberated. But we finally, and at first I was in the camp of, yeah, it was self-defense. Like, she was hitting him too, and he was also injured, but they convinced me by the end of it. And I wasn't the only one that felt that way. But we were like, you know what? When he testified, he said, yes, I kicked her. And that's what he was charged with. And it sucks because we all of us in that room felt like they were both partially responsible. We all felt like she should have been charged too. That either neither of them should have been charged, or they both.
Of them.
Yeah. We thought either they should have not arrested him, or they should have arrested both of them, because it really sounded to us like they were both at fault.
Yeah.
And we knew that he had prior convictions and that he was probably going to go to prison for this one. And that was hard for me too, because I'm looking at this guy who's 19, 20, and I'm thinking they're going to send him to prison. That's not going to do anybody any good. He's going to come out worse.
It's not.
But that's not my decision. My decision is, did he commit the crime?
Yeah.
And he admitted
to work within the framework of the system we have.
And it sucked because we come out, we give and you could see his face just sink. And it was like, all I could think was they're going to send this kid to prison and he's going to come out worse. And nobody is helped by this situation. But we did it. And I felt bad about it.
Yeah. So that's almost more depressing than my murder situation.
Well, murders aren't. Did these people deserve to get murdered? Because,
no, not at all.
Okay, well,
not at all.
It's probably depressing then.
It was. So the murders were in South Central LA, like in really bad, I mean, one of the worst neighborhoods.
See, we don't have murders here at all, so I could probably never get on a murder trial because I live in Mayberry. So
no, this was like Boys in the Hood area, but it wasn't a gang related shooting or anything like that. So I thought, and they brought in a ton of potential jurors for this because
I'm sure
murder trial, they, need a ton of people. So there were probably 200 people that were brought in to be questioned for this case. So jury selection took, I think, the full first day. I think we were done at the end of day one with that. So I thought that I was going to get out of this because so this defendant, it was an actor, not OJ, unfortunately. A minor, had a few bit parts and things, generally as a gang member.
Because Hollywood sucks.
Part of that, the voir dire was like, okay, here, have you, seen him in any of, have you seen any of these movies? Have you seen?
You watch an ass load of movies.
Because he was in Boys in the Hood.
Oh, wow. I've seen Boys in the Hood more than once.
Yeah, you wouldn't. I mean, he was, unnamed character, right. I think, in that. But so he had done, the last movie he had done was this independent film that happened to be directed by a friend of mine.
Oh, wow. And I forgot. You were a Hollywood bigwig, weren't you?
Yeah, bigwig.
Forgot about that. Anyway.
So not like a close friend, but a friend of mine had directed this. Yeah. I went to the film festival premiere and and all of that. So like for all, and I, at that met some of the actors in it, but I was like, I don't remember him. Like if I met him, I don't remember him. And later to find out I wouldn't have met him there because he was already in jail for this murder.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay.
So it's not like I did meet him, but I brought that up. I was like, I'm friends with the director of his last movie. And, I don't know if that really matters. And they were like, no, that's fine. And his attorney really should have objected to that based on some things I found out later.
Oh, no.
But so I end up on the jury and I'm like, okay, I'm going to follow the rules. I'm not going to like call my friend and say, hey, I'm on the jury for, that guy that was in your movie.
Yeah.
And
you can't do that.
No. And had I done that, it would have provided information.
Yeah.
So he's represented by a public defender who was clearly not up to the level that the prosecutor was. He was kind of the schlubby old guy that didn't seem too interested and was kind of just getting through it.
It's unfortunate.
So there was that piece that, I kind of had in my mind. But really, I mean, it was, I want to say about 3 days of testimony, and then we were in deliberations for 3 days, I think.
That's a long time.
Well, yeah, that was really the rough part. I mean, the trial itself was boring, mainly.
Yeah.
But it was absolutely, by the end of the trial, I didn't have any doubt that I was going to vote to convict, and I figured everybody would.
Yeah.
I mean, there were witnesses. It was, it was pretty
open and shut.
It was pretty clear. There was, I can't remember if they had the gun or didn't have it, but, there was something, they had information about the gun and having been in his possession and a lot of things like that.
Yeah.
So I was pretty clear on it. So we get back into the jury room and I'm expecting you get back there, you take an initial vote to see where people are, and then you go from there. Well, several people on the jury did not want to take an initial vote. They were like, I don't know yet.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I guess that's fair.
Yeah.
But we spent so long trying to get across to some of the jurors that beyond a reasonable doubt doesn't mean maybe aliens came down and shot those people.
Yeah.
Because it kept going, but what if this, that, and the other? No, that's not what happened here. And so it was pretty clear to me. We, over the course of the 3 days, finally got to the point of convicting, and it was multiple counts, so we had to do each one. That wasn't a problem. Once he killed one of them, he killed both of them.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to be I killed this guy, but not this other one that was standing right next to him. It was outside at a bus stop near this really shitty little shopping center, and it was in broad daylight. It wasn't like it was. It was pretty obvious. Thing. Well, and it was he was seen getting into an argument with the couple of guys at the bus stop, and it's all like everybody knows each other there. I mean, it's the people around the neighborhood, and they really do know each other and know who the people are. So,
was there any forensic evidence?
No, not really.
Damn it.
Not really.
See, I want to see some forensic evidence.
See, that was one of those things that they did in the questioning was like, do you
believe
think
in
that
science?
do you think that there needs to be physical forensic evidence to know? In most cases, don't have any.
Yeah.
They just don't.
Yeah.
I want to say that there was some gunshot residue stuff that came into play.
Yeah.
But mostly it was witnesses. And he had gotten into an argument, and then he had gone across the parking lot to his building and got his gun and came back and shot these two guys.
Well,
So
that's how you solve problems in America.
Yeah.
So, seems reasonable to me.
So that part was pretty straightforward to me. So we convict him finally. I was so done with being there after, I think it was 6 or 7 days. And so then I call my friend who directed this movie to tell him, because now I can tell him.
Now you can talk about it, yeah.
And he goes, I really hope you convicted him. And I'm like, why? He's like, yeah, he choked me and threatened my life on set more than once.
Oh my God.
So had I broken that rule and talked to him, I would have heard that information that this guy had threatened to kill the director a few times.
So you made the right call either way. I mean, that had to feel good though, a little bit. Like, at least I really don't have any doubt now.
Oh, it did, definitely. But then, so here's the surprise ending, which is so good. It's so good. So he ends up, and I only find this up by just randomly several years later, I looked it up just to say, I wonder if there was ever anything in the paper or whatever about sentencing or anything, because we didn't do sentencing. We just convicted him on 2 counts of second-degree murder. Mm-hmm. So I look him up and I find this article, and so he went to jail, I think, for life. Mm-hmm. And he was not even there a year, I think, before he was murdered by his cellmate for incessantly proselytizing.
What?
I shit you not. His cellmate, as this was reported, his cellmate could not take one more minute of getting proselytized to and killed the guy.
Oh, that is so perfect.
I mean, I
That's
feel
poetic.
bad. I feel bad about it. The guy didn't. We did not. We did not intend to sentence him to death, and I certainly wouldn't ever sentence anyone to death.
No.
But
oh my God, for proselytizing.
Yeah, presents a little bit of a like, wow, that's that is a crazy end to this. And at the same time, I was the guy I was one of the people that sent him to that prison. But you weren't the one doing the proselytizing. He brought that on himself. Right. And I wasn't the one who decided to put him in a cell with another guy that was going to go nuts and kill him. But yeah, that's the surprise ending is he was actually murdered in jail. And I mean, really, I hope it wasn't just because of proselytizing. I hope that there was more to it. But it makes for a better story that way. It does. It does. I tried looking up on my case. I tried to find what the sentencing was because, after you're done, you don't hear anything else about it. Nope. It's up to the judge you don't get to sit through the sentencing. And so, I tried looking in the paper and I checked for a couple of weeks, probably a month or two, and just kind of lost track of it and didn't check anymore. So I really should go back. Well, there probably wasn't even anything yet at that point because it takes a while. It takes a while. So I did look up and find him and the girlfriend we have a local county lockup website
where you can see all the mugshots and the charges, which is local entertainment because people like to just go. And I do not approve of that website. And I think it's unnecessarily shaming people, but it exists. So I went and looked on it.
But you're not above using it.
But I'm not above using it if I have to. So I went and did a search for the guy's name and found his mugshot and found her mugshot and had to show my husband right away. I'm like, look at these two. Seriously. Like, you can believe that they would beat each other up, right? He's like, yeah, totally. Like really, just look at him. Skinny little guy, and she's just this buff girl. Like, I could see an equal struggle with those two, that they're both on meth. But I still am curious as to what he got sentenced to, because I have feelings on the prison system and on drug rehabilitation. And that was another thing. They asked about drugs, and I admitted in the voir dire, I'm like, yeah, I have a cousin who's a meth addict, and I had custody of her kids, and she went through this courthouse and this court system, and I have a lot of experience with it. She went to I'm surprised.
Yeah, so they
picked me. They didn't kick me out for that either. But I live in a small town, and there's not a lot of smart people, so I'm just gonna guess that my intelligence shone through, and they both decided they want intelligent people.
I'm sure that's what it was.
How was your jury? Were they all like cool people, or was there anybody terrible on it?
It was a mix. It was a mix of everything, a mix races, genders, socioeconomic. This was in Los Angeles County, so pretty diverse place.
Yeah, mine was in small town Minnesota, so we don't have black people here.
Yeah. No, this was
pretty white jury.
This was a pretty diverse jury. The defendant was black guy. And there were, I want to say probably half the jury was black.
Yeah.
And yeah, mixture of genders and everything. There was one guy who was, he was like the in his 60s kind of professional, well-spoken white dude who was he became the foreman, which in hindsight, it's like, wow, how obvious is that like the older upper class white dude gets to be the foreman.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, he didn't want it. Nobody wanted it. But he was the one kind of put up for it, which is interesting. Like that, definitely goes to stereotypes.
Who people think have authority, and who we had a chick do ours. So that was this, this diverse jury said, nope, let's pick the old white guy for the foreman. And he agreed to do it. No one wanted to do it. Ours was, I think, almost, maybe it was 7 women. I don't know if it was perfect, evenly women to men, but it was just about half. And there was one woman on the jury who was just like, I'll do it. Nobody wanted to be the foreman. Right. And she's like, fuck it, I'll do it. And so she did it. And
yeah, nobody wants that.
No, but
nobody wants that responsibility.
It's interesting to watch kind of the dynamics of like strangers trying to work their way through something. Because, you're making assumptions about the people in the jury, too. Like, we had the one older white guy that I was just looking at thinking, you voted for Trump, didn't you? I can just tell you're a Trump voter. And we've got the young guy who clearly works on a farm and couldn't be bothered to put any nice clothes on that day for jury duty. And there were a lot of middle-class looking white ladies like me who were kind of middle-aged. And, I'm guessing his lawyer thought that was good because we all probably looked like bleeding heart liberals, and we all look like moms, and most of us were moms, and we were all probably picturing our little baby boys sitting in jail and having to go to prison.
I don't know. I would have thought that would go the other way. That the
women would be more sympathetic to the woman. You would think exactly. But I would honestly, think that. When we got back there and started talking, all of us were like, "Yeah, they should have charged both of them." Everybody in the room felt that way, and there were a couple people that right off the bat were just like, "Well, he's guilty, obviously." And I think at one point I was like, well, we should at least discuss it. Even if we all think he's guilty, like, this is somebody's life, and we can't just write down, okay, like, can we at least discuss it for a little bit? Like, go through the evidence?
See, that's what ended up getting me, though, was I went back there and I was like, okay, can't we just all say he's guilty? Because he's obviously guilty, and let's be done with it. And people like you wanted to talk about it.
And talk about our feelings.
Talk about it and talk about it for 3 days. Talk about it.
Well, see, we didn't do it for 3 days, though. Ours was just like, can we take an hour and just go back through just to make sure that we're not missing anything?
I think that's reasonable. And, even for mine, even if it was a half a day or a day, but it ended up just
3
being the
days
same things over and over and over, which was basically like, what if aliens flew out of his butt and shot those people instead?
Yeah. And we had a lot of discussion about what the meaning of reasonable is, because a lot of it is based on what would a reasonable person do. And we're all like, well, I know what I would do. Am I a reasonable person? But okay, is he a reasonable person? But he's on meth. Can you be reasonable when you're on meth? I don't know. We're kind of going around back and forth based on what is reasonable to do in that situation. Like, I would probably kick the other person too, but that doesn't really matter.
Interesting questions.
Yeah, you're given this very specific, here's what the statute is, but it's also kind of vague. And then we asked the judge at a few points, we sent questions out to the judge. And I know one of them was, does anybody have a floor plan of this apartment? Because we were all dying to know how close the stove was to the door. Because if the stove was right next to the door, he could have just gotten out. Whereas if it was far away from the door, then we could see her blocking it. Like, it was.
Well, and I would guess that that's something that they couldn't do, like, unless it was presented as evidence in the case. They can't just
We
say,
found that out pretty quick. And then we were all mad because we're like, why didn't one of them present that as testimony? But probably because it didn't favor either one of them. So we didn't get to see that. And we got to listen to the 911 call again. But it was just one of the cops who testified. When he testified, it's a small town. The prosecutor knew him. She knows all the cops. And she's like, oh, we know you've just been on an overnight shift. And you could tell the guy was exhausted. And so we're like, he's testifying really tired. Who knows if he's remembering correctly? This was like almost a year ago. They don't fucking remember. They're basing it on their notes. And it was just a shit show. But by the end of it, and there were a few people in there that were just like, you are not going to change my mind. He's guilty. And I just kind of went into it more like, I could be persuaded either way. And the women, we all had pages of notes, and we were kind of talking amongst ourselves while most of the men just sat there looking at us like, can we be done now? Like, he clearly did it.
We ended up at the end, like the last one or two people to kind of convince to sign off on a guilty verdict really were holding out more because they just like didn't feel like they could stomach convicting someone. And so that was one of those cases where it's like, well, then you shouldn't be on the jury. Like, you have like, that's part of the questions that they asked us at the beginning was like, can you convict, if the evidence shows it, can you convict someone of murder? And you had to say yes, which I get that, once you get there, like, your feelings on it
may seem different are
going to seem different, but that was really, the last few hours of deliberation was really just kind of getting a couple of people to say, okay, I can do this. I can, like, I know that he's guilty, but okay, I can do it.
Yeah. That's one thing. We don't have the death penalty here, but if I were in a state with the death penalty and I got asked, could you send somebody to die, I would say no. I would want off that jury. I wouldn't be able to do it. But that's different than just convicting someone of a crime. It's
right. I mean, and there are not that many death penalty cases. Like, I'm in Colorado. In Colorado now, I think that we technically have the death penalty, but it hasn't been used in years. And the governors, like the last few governors, I think, have said they won't allow any to go forward.
We're just way more enlightened than you over here in Minnesota because we are more liberal and
we're a shifting.
Oh wait, you have all the pot. That's right.
We're a shifting state, so things have been changing very much. We're pretty blue now, except so much of the state is is rural, and those areas certainly aren't.
See, we're having the opposite problem where we used to be blue and we're turning red, and it's because of the rural areas. So really fucking frustrating. But yeah, fun fact, I have a relative who was convicted of double homicide.
Ooh.
I don't know if he died in prison. I frankly don't care. I'm only tangentially related to him, but my grandmother, my mom's mom...
You're practically guilty by association.
I really am, yeah. My mom's mom had a previous marriage where she had a son who, in very shitty situation, but she was in a situation where her husband was abusive and she had this baby, and this is back in the 40s. And she finally got away from the abusive husband. She escaped from him, but she had to leave her baby with him, and he kept custody of him, and she didn't see her child until he was an adult. It was this horrible story. But he, as an adult, they found each other, and he came to visit her, and he had a son who was my age. So I remember when I was, 12 or 13, these random people came to visit, and it was like, oh, this is my cousin that I didn't know existed, and my mom's other brother that we didn't know existed. And I remember thinking the kid was a total fucking asshole, because he really was. He was a dick. Like all of my other cousins, I have a bunch of cousins around my age, and we're doing fun stuff, and he's just being an asshole the whole time. Well, it turns out later and I think it was a gang-related thing. He shot 2 people in a drug deal gone bad and went to prison for it. So I feel like I should look that up again and see if he's still in prison or what. But I was right on that one. He was a dick.
Definitely had the right intuition.
I really did. That guy was a fucking asshole. So yeah, glad I never had to see him again. They lived in Seattle, I think, so we met them all of one time, and it was a whole thing. Anyway, well, yeah, jury duty. So if you ever have to be on a jury, you should do it because it's good times. Like Michael said, you can spend 3 days with strangers in a sweaty room.
I would definitely advise, not getting on a double murder jury unless you have a lot of time to kill.
I was smoking at the time, and they do not give you cigarette breaks on a jury, at least where I am. We were in that room all day. You could not leave to have a cigarette.
I was too, actually.
Which seems horrible to me because you get edgy people in there that haven't had their nicotine trying to make a decision.
I know. It should be. I mean, didn't they?
That's very counterintuitive.
Couldn't they smoke in the jury room in 12 Angry Men? I'm sure.
I'm sure
they could.
But you couldn't let women in then either. So
well, no.
A woman smoking in there would have been ridiculous. But yeah. There were a couple of us that were smokers, and the minute we got sent for lunch, we would just be out there puffing away like, oh my God, and we couldn't have our phones in there, so we'd all run to our cars immediately and check our phones. And like in our courthouse, you can't even bring your phone into the courthouse. Nobody can. Really? So we all had to leave our phones in our cars, which was just like...
That's nuts.
Isn't that fucking weird? Yeah, no, they don't just take them. You can't even bring them in. And the lawyers can't. Nobody can. Which is...
That's bizarre.
Yeah, so like if you have an emergency, we all had to just say, call the courthouse. They'll have to...
Huh.
So yeah, we'd run outside and puff on our cigarettes and check our cell phones and see if there were emergencies. But the nice thing is after 2 days, then you've done your jury duty and they're like, okay, you're off the hook now, go home. You don't have to be on another jury. Because technically you serve for like 3 months, but... Since I was already on one, they just said you're off the hook for the next 3 months.
Yeah, I am supposed to have jury duty sometime around now. I was called for jury duty a few months ago, and I was going to be out of town those dates, so I postponed it. But then since then, I've moved to a different county.
Oh.
So I actually...
It's null and void then.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I think they were supposed to send me a notice, which would, I assume, get forwarded from my old address that they had, and then I can just say, hey, I've moved out of the county, so I can't do it there. But they nailed me so fast. I mean, I moved to that county in May and was called for jury duty like in 3 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They knew that you're a really intelligent, well-spoken atheist, and they thought, we need to get him on the jury.
That's what they want in Colorado Springs.
Yeah. We want all the atheists on the jury.
Yeah, definitely in the home of Focus on the Family.
Yeah. Well, it's been fun talking about jury duty. We are over our 1 hour mark.
We are.
And my older son has been sneaking into the room to get the ramen noodles that I have stashed in here. Long story. He's homeschooled. That's why he's not in school right now, but homeschooled eating fucking ramen noodles.
Ramen noodles in bed. That's,
pretty much, yep.
Yeah.
That's our house. Well, the other two, my husband and our other son, are out working and going to school like normal people. So the two of us are just riddled with mental illness and not leaving the house.
Fun stuff.
So I want to quickly thank our patrons because I haven't done this in a while because I haven't podcasted in a while because I'm fucking terrible and riddled with the morbs. By the way, if you don't know what the morbs is, just go look it up. It's funny. So I'm going to read off our patrons quick on Patreon. If you want to give us some of your hard-earned money, go to patreon.com/secularsoup and give us just as much as you can give before it hurts, and then give some more. At the $1 a month level, we have By Any Means Podcast, Wendy, Dan Bongino Can Eat a Dick. I don't know who that is, but, you know, it's a cool name. So Dan Bongino Can Eat a Dick gives us $1 a month. Jesse, the Dumb All Over Podcast, Liz Satan, John, and Freethinker215. Thank you so much. The $2 a month level, we've got Nathan Dickey, Kimberly, Rebecca, Veralaine, Sarah, and Andy. You are all fantastic. What the fuck? It keeps putting Andy in the $2 level, but he's clearly pledging $5. Whatever, Patreon. I'm making Michael sit through this whole thing, too. At the $4 a month level, we have Elvin Engineer. Thank you so much. At the $5 level, as always, we have Alice at the Ask and Tell Project, askandtell.com, Dr. Dylan, Medical Detective, Marissa Alexa McCool, Amy's Boring Sister, Jerry, and Alan. You are all awesome. Thank you. At $10 a month, our superstar patrons, Rich, Randall, Larry, and Yesh. Yesh used to be I think, $5 a month? I can't remember now, but he has bumped up to a $10 a month, probably because he wants the bowl with dicks on it. So I am behind in making dick bowls. I'm going to get on that as soon as my morbs are a little better. And Larry deleted his pledge and now is back at $10 a month. So I think he's trying to get a fucking third soup bowl out of me, but whatever. It's not going to work, Larry. At the $20 plus a month level, as always, our very favorite patron, Ashley. You are amazing. We love you. Our second favorite patron is Nathan, and the one who gives us the most money but is not our favorite is currently named Rhymes with Schmamerd Schmillis. You can guess who that is. I have no idea. Thank you all so much for your patronage. We really, really appreciate it. We like money because we're poor people. Hopefully next week we will be back with an episode with the other Amy who spells her name wrong and myself. Depends on if I can drag myself out of bed. So
don't hold your breath on that one.
It's probably not going to happen. Wait a few months. It's winter in Minnesota. I need the sunlight back to feel like a normal person. So anyway, thank you, Michael, for being here. Do you want to plug your show quick, or if you're on hiatus? I don't know. Say something.
So my show is Reasonable Risk Podcast. It has been on hiatus for several months
Quite
now.
Some time.
And it is. It's currently still in hiatus and a bit of an uncertain future right now. But I still want to plug my real life business, Reason Real Estate, which I'm based in Denver. But one thing that I do is try to help people find real estate agents that wherever they are, and actually vet them and do that sort of thing, rather than just having people go with whoever their neighbor recommended or something like that. So if anybody either themselves or knows of anybody who is in need of some help with real estate, reach out to me. You can email me at reasonableriskpodcast@gmail.com. And one fun little thing that I am just starting to do, because there was some legal research and that sort of thing to be able to do it, but I actually can pay some money out. If either you come to me with your own needs, I can kick back a little something, and or if you refer a friend to me. So that's like actual real money, depending on the transaction, about $500. So if you need $500, just find a friend that needs some real estate help anywhere in the country, and reach out to me. And
so let me ask you
I will
this:
hook them up.
if I have a friend who doesn't need real estate services but calls you and says they do, can I still have that $500? Because I have a lot of friends that I could have.
See, the catch is that a deal actually has to close.
Oh, God damn it!
There is a catch, but
I'll keep you in mind.
It's it's something that I really do more to try to help people find good people to work with. But if I can give out a little incentive, which I can, I am happy to do that. So let me know if anyone has any needs. reasonableRiskPodcast@gmail.com.
I can probably put a link in the show notes, but I'm very lazy right now, so we'll see.
Okay,
but
I won't hold my breath.
When I get divorced later this year, maybe I'll call you to sell my house. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Sounds good.
I'm not getting divorced. In case my family's listening to this, calm down.
They don't listen.
Amy with an I, they really don't. Amy with an I is not here to do the outro, and I don't know the outro, and I can't find the Google Doc, and I just really don't care that much. So
something, Eli Bosnick.
Something about delightfulbitchcraft.com. Go there. There's things there. Thank you for listening. Tell your friends. Tell your fucking friends. I don't know why more people don't tell their friends, but whatever. And as always, we will leave you with the vocal stylings of one Mr. Eli Bosnick.
Secular soup creed. Soup is the ultimate virtue. It's delicious, nutritious, patriarchy smashing, racism fighting, warm and fuzzy, human affirming, fun having, anti-theist, glitter throwing, tummy satisfying, pair of new shoes fulfilling, diversity seeking, happiness. Minestrone, beef and barley, chicken broth and split pea, gazpacho, tomato, clam chowder and potato, chicken noodle, beef noodle, egg drop and ramen cup, miso, gumbo, leek and pho. Grab a bowl and taste the magic. Slurp even this.